I guess we're live. Hello, everyone. We haven't actually done one of these for quite a while, but figured a month into mainnet, and we might as well, especially with the first cohort of apps that have deployed on Fluent mainnet, many part of the Blended Builders Club as well. And we'll do a couple of these just one by one with the builders, just chatting about how launch went, what they've been up to since. Maybe I guess give it first a recap on what people are working on and who they are, and just some cool aspects we surface about the project. So to start, we got Mr. ZK, Mr. Don. I'm gonna call you Don, from Flux. Welcome, man.
GM, thanks for having me, Dino. Yeah, nice to be here. I think this is my second live stream with you guys. Hi.
Yeah, we did that one other. I'm pretty sure that was like the first time we ever even like talked live
Real.
outside of like of just a bunch of chats. But yeah, welcome, man. First off, congrats on launch. You were one of the very first apps to launch on Fluent Network. Been seeing like the growth and progress over the past month, but let's actually start. Let's rewind a little bit for people. You know, we obviously launched mainnet, and there's a lot of new people who came into the fold and are paying attention to Fluent now. Of course, launched like the blend token as well. There's just like there's a much broader audience now. Some may be familiar with you guys at this point. It has been a month, but I'm sure some people haven't. So can you start off with an intro on yourself? Like, who is the Don of Flux and what is Flux?
Hey, I'm Don, like co-founder of Flux. So Flux here, it is a concentrated liquidity AMM built specifically for blended VM. So currently we are the one and only DEX on Fluent right now. So yeah, that's Flux. And me, yeah.
Great, but remind the people who Don is. Who's the Don? Who's the Don of Flux? A
Who's
little
the
bit, maybe a
Don?
little
Okay,
bit
yeah, I
TLDR
used
about
to,
your background and just yeah, refresh them.
yeah, yeah. I used to work at Usari. I'm doing like a lot of research for protocols back in 2020, right before DeFi summer. And then after that, went into like the venture world, doing the same stuff like being an analyst and stuff. But then I got bored out of it, and I moved into like different vertical, which is marketing, and doing branding for an agency, and handled like top tier clients. I would say, yeah, you probably know them. I handled like Cosmos launch, uh, maybe like Wormhole and other infra and DeFi trading apps. So yeah, so that's done. And today I'm building Flux. Yeah, I'm super hyped for this because Fluent Foundation, you guys are super supportive for Flux, and yeah, um, there's no way for me like for us to thank you guys for that. So yeah,
Awesome. You helped with the Cosmos launch?
yeah, I helped them like around 2024, like
Oh,
yeah,
that's big.
like
Okay.
help them like yeah, I was basically like the social media manager at the time
Okay.
because
Okay.
I was still learning about the branding marketing stuff because that's super different with the analytical work that I came in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a social media manager for this agency, and then I had Cosmos, and then after that I moved into Plume Network, help them scale into that much followers right now, um, and then yeah, after Plume, like I'm here.
Nice, man. Yeah. If people nowadays who maybe came into crypto or just paying more attention in the past year might not remember the heyday of like all the modular chains and like the Cosmos ecosystem as well. And but that was it's a big deal. You like help them launch. That's very cool. Okay, so yeah, now on a Flux, you guys launched. Congrats. You're starting to cook. But first, can you go a little bit deeper into what Flux is for people? You said you built it for the blended VM. We know what that means, but maybe not everybody does. So what's the vision around that as it relates to blended execution and what Flux can do with it?
So yeah, the vision for Flux is we become like the liquidity layer and the most liquid trading venue on Fluent. So whenever there's a new asset listed on Fluent, we are the first one to list it. We are like, we want to be the first. We want to be like, uh the majority. Like, we also working with Nerona and Vena, and like to get the trading routes, like flows to us. So for example, with Nerona, um, whenever there's a rebalancing fall or anything of that, it yeah, the trading volume flows through us. Same thing with Fena. Whenever there's a loan, Fena is a lending platform on Fluent, and Nerona is a stablecoin issuance platform on Fluent. So whenever there's, for example, on Fena, whenever there's a loan that needs to be liquidated, uh, the liquidation routes goes through Flux as well, and then, like swapping. But basically, Flux is like anything. Like you need swap for ETH, for Blend, or for stable coins. We're here for you. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so yeah, the premier deck's on Fluent. And I know you guys because you're building for the blended VM, while we don't support SVM or just any other slew of VMs today, like that is something that I know you guys are able to very easily integrate assets from any different environment, like as those, well, first off on our end get enabled on Fluent, but then also that become just strategically interesting. Like, the more the years progress, like there's no telling like where where things will go. Like, I mean, there's cool assets on in the EVM world, but there's also cool assets in the SVM world. And then you guys, one thing I wanted to note is that you guys have that flexibility to, just swallow up like any type of
Yes,
asset that comes your
we
way,
blend them
which
all.
is
We
cool.
blend
Yeah.
them all.
Yeah, there you go. Um, okay, nice, man. So, all right, you shipped, been a few weeks. Um, what's been going on? Like, tell people who maybe they've been following your progress, but maybe don't have kind of like a wrapper around it. But what's been happening? You guys have gotten quite a bit of traction.
Yeah, I think I got to open with this because I literally pulled the numbers this week and I was just sat there. It's like, no way we achieved this in a month because I pull out all numbers like from the Fluent network, like like the whole chain. And right now, 1 in every 8 transaction of the entire Fluent network is either Flux flow swap or Flux liquidity providing. Like, so that's like 1 in 8. So of everything happening on the chain. So yeah, that was the moment for me. It flipped from like it stopped being from like, hey, we're building this little dex into turn. We're kind of like a load bearing piece of this ecosystem now, which is wild. Yeah, and also like a responsibility, but mostly wild. So I think in terms of like the launch, I think it went fluid, fluidly, like seamless. Like it's nice. We have the support of the community as well, and like 1 in every 8 transaction of the Fluent network. Like yeah, it's either swap or LPing on Flux.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. You said, well, appreciate your gratitude for our support. We're definitely it's a pleasure working with you, and like we're pumped we can be helpful at all. You said the community has been helpful. Tell me a little bit more about that. Have they these guys are great. Like, I think we've gotten to know we have a very core um like strong uh, community, and I'm always like really impressed with how they rally around our Fluent stuff. But I'm also happy to hear that they're kind of rallying around you guys too, because at the end of the day, it is we are kind of a vehicle for apps to prosper as a chain. So yeah, I'm glad you're getting that support as well.
Yeah, they're super supportive. Flux community is also super supportive. Well, most Flux community is also Fluent supporters
Yeah, there's a lot
as
of
well, right?
overlap, but that's
So
cool.
yeah, but yeah, they create contents. They create great educational content. So not only like not only like hype content, but great educational content. Like yesterday, I got we have like one mention about like arbitrage trading, and that is something that's why yeah, but anyway, yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, that's good. Um, tell me about how you guys are bootstrapping things. I know, of course, just as the sole Dex provider on Fluent, like there's a lot of activity already going through you guys, but I know you guys are also running like a points campaign, any kind of other like incentive type stuff that's of course very useful in moderation for just bootstrapping things, right? I think like no matter what type, especially for DeFi products, but like there is certainly a superpower of crypto where you have these incentives, whether it comes from like blend stuff, whether it comes from your point stuff, but like helping kickstart activity in an app. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys are doing that?
Yeah, in terms of bootstrapping, but let me give me a little bit of context first. So, what we have is already live, like the fee tree pools, already live. Currently, there are 3 pools running: Blend USDNRs, which is the main one, ETH USDNR, and the stablecoin pool, which is USDNR and Stake USDNR. All time, we've pushed like for the whole month, we've pushed like almost $7 million in volume. So and the fees actually like flow, which is part of our bootstrapping program, along with the point system, because we want it to be something real first. Like 85% of the trading fees go straight to like the people who provide liquidity, right? So LPs in Flux always eats first. So yeah, yeah, and honestly, like in terms of like the bootstrapping program and like the points program, we have a lot of like we have things like streak, we have things like quest, which is like one time reward when you explore the app. So for example, when you use Flux for the first time, you get that first point. And for example, also when you use it for a certain period, like maybe 7 days straight, your multiplier goes to 2x. But
That
the
streak is
thing
that
I'm hyped
streak?
the most, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And other multipliers like like referral and other stuff. I think yeah, it's all in the docs. But what I'm hyped is about like LP eats here first. Like 85% of the trading fees goes to LP first. We only take like 14.5%. Like compare that to other dexes on other chain. I don't know if you heard the fun, bro. Like
No, I was
other
gonna
other
ask you about
dexes.
that. I was gonna say, like, can you actually, for people listening who are like, wait, that sounds meaty, that they're getting, so much back. Oh, can you contrast it with what else exists out there? Like, why is that so compelling?
Yes, maybe for Uniswap they took like 25% of the whole trading fees that the LP provided, right? And for I'm not gonna name names for this one because this
Yeah,
other
you can.
dexes and other chain they took as most as like like 50%, and that creates like FUD in the community, and the LPs are losing there. So if you want to win, I think go to Flux. You guys eat here first, like LPs, yeah.
All right, that's very, very clear. Yeah, you don't have to drop names, but somewhere between 25 and 50% is the average, it
Yeah,
seems, and then you guys are coming in with a whopping 75. So LPs definitely eat first at Flux.
85% for the
85, 85.
LP.
Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
85, 85.
In
Um,
in like competitive DEX environment like Hyper EVM, it's usually around 14.5 to 17%. But we have, because on Fluent we're the only one, and but we're the only one, and we have the leverage to like increase our fees, but we don't because we want LPs to eat first. We want LPs
yeah,
to make money.
yeah.
So yeah,
Hell yeah, man. Okay, cool. Yeah,
hell
that's
yeah.
I'm sure people are excited to hear that. So if you're considering LPing anywhere and you hungry, you go to Flux.
Yeah.
That's great. Speaking of points and multipliers and all that stuff, you just before this call announced something related to Prince. I won't spoil it, but why don't you tell everybody like how maybe you can give like a recap. Maybe you can give us a quick summary of how you see Prince, because we've talked about Prince a lot. Like people know how we think about Prince, but I'm of course curious in real time right now to kind of see how it actually resonates and how our builders conceptualize what it is today, what it could be. But like, give a TLDR on Prince for people listening from your perspective, and then how are you incorporating that into Flux?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is just a fresh one. I think it just launched like 30 minutes ago and we just dropped
Yeah,
it, right? So reputation 1.5x. That's so if you're a verified human on Fluent, so this is true Prince, right? You now get a flat 1.5x points, which is like 50% boost on every trade you make on Flux. The number might look cool, but the why is the whole thing, to be honest. Like everything else in DeFi, like the bots and the mercenary farm like eats up all the rewards, and actual humans like get the scrap. We look at that and went like, oh, we have to flip it. The people should win. And okay, let me just chill for a second, because if you're watching this and you're not in yet, you're probably um, you know uh, leave money on the table, because uh, yeah, it's like the blend USDNR pool at recent volume, just the trading fees alone, that's like 12% plus plus the 70 or 80% of the APRs. But yeah, the part that the part that I'm hyped about is like the fees are just the floor, the points are stacked on top. So ULP, and you already pull like that much, and if you're a verified human, every bit of activity is throwing off that 1.5x. So most point programs are like, here, hold this imaginary points and like, earn nothing while you wait. So ours is the opposite. Like we want the real yield first, points as the kicker. So genuinely get verified, throw your idle capital and stack fees. But in terms of like what this unblock, like in terms of like where we headed for the score, we want to create like a composite scoring. So it's either like because on two activities on a DEX, right? You have to be a swapper or an LP, right? Um, and that is the category, but the reputation is like how can you be valuable, right? How do you provide value on top of those two categories, right? So yeah, what we're thinking is like we create like a composite score um, based on this category and reputation, and we want to like you know have the like like I don't know, like pulse predictor on Connect, Fluent Connect. They have like, hey, you're cooked, or like hey, you're a great predictor, right? I am cooked because I'm not a good predictor, but but yeah, that's the idea. We have like, so maybe like in so maybe like, a lending app sees that you're a proven LPs, with like, they give you better terms. A new protocol launches, and once a real traders, right, they just read this composite score. Right now,
Right.
right now we're doing the basic, which is boosting up the 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 boosting up like the points, so people start like, categorize yourself, whether you're an LP, whether you're a swapper, categorize yourself before we um, implement this composite scoring. So yeah, the whole idea is to turn like, hey, I'm a real active user, into a kind of like a pulse predictor, where on it's like a passport, you know that works everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Your identity and reputation can be just like brought with you, and you get kind of new access and benefits depending on the apps and the context that reputation applies. No, that's awesome. Just to quickly summarize for people who might not be familiar with Pulse Predictor, we basically have, think of it as like free predictions, where similar to the experience of a prediction market, where you don't have to put financial capital at stake. Like you're really only putting, I'll say, social capital at stake, because either you, I mean, it's still verifiable on Fluent, like whether you're right or wrong with your predictions. You can do it across different categories. Kind of the vision there is for building up these like predictor scores. Right now, there's kind of like one composite predictor score, but the idea is to have that be context based, and so people will be able to um, prove that they are like the best sports predictor in the world. Or maybe we can even, enable it to be like granular enough. We have to talk to the Pulse team and like massage this and see what makes sense when, but like you could envision it getting granular enough to be like, oh, I'm the best predictor at basketball in the world versus like soccer or whatever. So that, and there's basically like activity from Pulse that then feeds back into Prince as a reputation score, a predictor reputation score. And what Don just mentioned was, he said like, you're cooked. We have these like different, like just like fun playful
Yeah,
labels.
it
Like if you're like
definitely
a
stuff.
horror, you're like a god awful predictor, it'll be like you're cooked. And then obviously if you're a great predictor, it'll say something nice. But so it'll roast you a little bit. But okay, so what Don's saying is, um, they're using Prince and what's currently available in Prince, so verified, like, human, this or that, as like an input into how they're treating users with Flux. So you're proving that when you connect Prince. And then information and activity from Flux can then get fed back into Prince. So there's kind of like a full circle thing, and that can actually help build a new context of reputation, about how somebody might be trading, and we'll think of fun like labels or whatever, but like, eh, so and then other people. So once something is fed back into Prince, so you have some type of contextual reputation, which I'm sure we're going to discuss more about like what exactly that looks like as you build it out. But once you have some type of contextual reputation based on like your trading activity, then it's now a building block of its own, which anybody else who's building an app can plug into their app. So there's like this really cool um synergy where, you know, like the value from like one app kind of flows and powers the other, and like it kind of, you know, you can kind of go back into that app. And so there's like a ton of synergies across this stuff. You can imagine, you know, different types of trading apps wanting to actually leverage this contextual reputation that's derived from Flux activity to, so it maybe they want to figure out who the best across whatever dimensions traders are, or you know, maybe the most reliable like LPs or the biggest LPs, or whatever you end up doing. Of course, I'm speaking like abstractly
Yeah.
right now because it's like in the works, but that's like at its core, that sounds fascinating. We're of course pumped that you're pumped about it. So yeah, however we can help build that out. But for now, verify with Prince 1.5x on your on Flux. So
Yes, we're feeding your behavior into like a composite score. So yeah, we treat this as like yeah, as alpha testing before we we implement the composite score. That's why we rolling out in basis. Yeah.
awesome, man. Okay, I know I'm getting pinged because I know this is supposed to be we're gonna keep it efficient. There's like a ton of cool ideas that this sparks around like what people could do with those composite scores derived from Flux, but that'll have to be for another day. Um, yeah, is there anything else? I mean, before we wrap, is there anything else that you wanna shout out, Don? I mean, of course, I think we've already plugged a few things, but if there's anything missing, like people listening to this, whether they're LPs, whether they're traders, what should they do?
Yeah. Yeah, the DEX is live. We're an eight of everything moving on Fluent. So LP eats first, and it's only like liquidity is only getting deeper from here. So, come trade to Flux, come throw in some liquidity, go get verified for that 1.5x. And yeah, nice catching up with you, Dino.
The Flux buffet. If you're an LP, come fucking eat. Yeah,
Let's
great
do
chatting, Don. Pumped to talk about all things like reputation and see how we can, you know, work out something good. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll be supporting every step of the way, of course, and you know, maybe we can hop back on in, you know, another few weeks or a month or something like that, and chat about the progress since.
let's go. Thanks for the time. Appreciate you.
Of course, man. You too.
Bye.
Look who we have here. Hello, Mina.
Hello. Morning. Good
I
morning,
actually
Dino.
thought morning. I actually thought for a second I thought it was gonna be like a break thing, and then it was gonna be some type of counter or whatever. But then I just see you, and I'm very pleasantly surprised.
Okay. We can still do this. Like four,
No.
three, two,
This was
one.
a very very pleasant
Oh, I have a professional one actually.
a what? Oh, like a. Oh, okay, perfect. There we go. Yeah, we need one of those.
This is actually like when I was doing my podcast, and then usually my editor he wanted this to do official. You see here, this is like I think this was like 2022 September 18th, and this is take 5, and we were talking about what is an NFT. No,
All right, what is NFT? Wait, you were doing a pod on what NFTs are? You an NFT KOL in a previous life?
I was not an NFT KOL, but I was like a more like a podcaster who I interviewed different founders, investors, and we were explaining what is NFT to people. And okay, my cat wants to say hello. Hi. Come.
What's your cat's name again?
Paul.
Paw
Hi.
Paw? What are you doing? What are you doing to her? Okay.
It's like him. First of all,
That's a
and
him.
I'm not abusing him. Okay, he really likes
Okay.
like different thing. You see,
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
well, hi, Paw Paw.
Okay.
And well, it's been a few weeks, month. Sprout is doing some really cool things. Congrats, of course, again on all the launches that you're doing and all the different like strategies that you're implementing, which I know we're going to talk about. But first, anybody who is new, like we obviously launched both Fluent, the network, and also the Blend token. There's like a bunch of new people who are in the audience and just starting to kind of like follow along with Fluent and the apps on Fluent. So, do you want to just give a quick recap of who is Cryptomina and what is Sprout?
Hello, everyone. My name is Cryptomania. My job is to please my cat every day. Just joking. I'm the founder of Sprout, and Sprout is building the personalized yield engine for everyone, for retail users, for institutional users, wherever people need real yields on their stablecoin holdings. Sprout is here to provide the easy, secure, and the best yield out of across all of different ecosystems. And Sprout has been a very close partner with Fluent since day zero, I would say. From I think like since the starting when we started build Sprout 2024 to right now, like year June 2026, me personally, I actually have learned so much about consumer behavior because we have spent so much time promoting to retail users or even also talking to institutional users. I have to say, I realized like the fact you and me, right? We have been focusing so much on consumer users. Like there's a success journey, but there's also failure journey, and I'm excited to talk about that. But right now, I think 2026, I have to say, yield is very institutionalized from both like the user end as well as the supplier end. But I'm excited for it. Does that give
Yeah.
a good
No, it does.
refresh?
It does. It does. Yeah, no, that was definitely a concise packaging of Sprout, and I'm very excited to get into how you see kind of like the institution versus consumer side, because we're of course like very focused for Fluent on the consumer side, but also like there is often like an institutional like component. Like it's not like this total either or. You might have more institutional folks who are maybe like providing liquidity for things that consumers are consuming. There's I'm curious to learn from you there. Let's start with these different strategies. So like if somebody's been following your Twitter over the past month, I see, hey, we just, we launched this strategy or that strategy, and then usually these recaps of like the different like returns and like risk and
Mhm.
reward profiles for different strategies. What are these? What does that mean? Like help explain somebody like what are these strategies like? How should people think about these different like strategies that you're curating? And then I guess we'll get into the Fluent specific one, but just broadly, like what do these mean?
Yeah. I think no matter whether you are looking at a yield investment or a trading investment, usually if it's an economic activity, you need to think about two things. One is the risk, the other one is return. And when we say risk and rewards ratio, that usually means how you as an individual measure like how much return you're gonna get given your risk preference. And the whole idea of Sprout serving as a personalized yield engine is based on the fact that we firmly believe because everyone's world is subjective. So his or her sense of risk and rewards is completely different from another human being walking on the street. So when you come to Sprout, the first thing you're gonna choose is actually you answer 7 different questions about like how risky you are, right? We will ask you how long you have invested. Like if you see a portfolio going down, are you going to double down or are you going to say, oh, I gotta cut my loss from here and invest in more safer strategy? But for yield, the only difference between yield and trading is like for Sprout, we only provide delta neutral strategies, meaning we don't have any exposure to the underlying assets moving direction. So no matter like say hype going 100 or going to $20 tomorrow, it doesn't really impact the principle. But here, the more concept we want to introduce is volatility, meaning the volatility of the yields you're gonna get. Maybe today you're gonna get like 20% yield, but tomorrow you get 1%. But average it out when we see a market like this, right? Highly manipulated by all the politicians, by all the like famous people, KOLs in the market, volatility is high. And that means your potential yield is also high because the core idea is like we're gonna harvest on those volatility across different assets. And then just like TLDR, you come to Sprout, you answer a couple questions, we assign a risk score for you, we curate a portfolio for you. But if you don't want to do that, you don't want to answer the question, you also have a slider where you can choose from 0 to 100. Actually, let me just share it.
Sure, yeah, please.
I will just share my screen.
But yeah, definitely feel free to share it, but also just as a data point, even if you didn't, very good, like concise explanation. I think very digestible for people, but good,
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah. So basically, you can here customize, and then when you click on a different risk score, right here on the top is your risk score. We're gonna curate a different allocation of the stablecoin strategies that I was talking about, and then it will also show you a different APY, and then continuously we will add like different strategy, of course, like Fluent strategies here. And then right now, Fluent, like USDNR is earning 15%. And actually, me personally, I'm allocating 48% into Fluent USDNR strategy because I think it's a pretty good strategy right now. This is my personal portfolio.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Yeah, you're showing us the real strategy alpha.
Yes, correct. And it's getting me like 10.61% APY on a 100% delta neutral strategy. I think, and it's like consistently performing like that for the last several months. If you compare to my US stock holding, of course, it's not comparable, but US stock holding, again, investing any kind of assets directionally, you face potential drawdown. So I still think like retail users to look into yield farming a bit more, but unfortunately, this is also where the part of the learning goes. We actually realize at Sprout that like it's this kind of product is more appealing to like whales or to, I guess, like the real B2C users who doesn't really understand crypto than crypto users themselves. Crypto users, they are every day constantly looking for 10x, 100x. And then unfortunately,
pretty risky folks.
Yeah. And many like product owners, they are continuously try to build the products to promote people to gamble more.
Yes. Okay. All right. So you did thank you for that. Like I'm sure that was very helpful, so people can just see how you can like, move the slider, and actually it's interesting that you're showing them like visibility into like what the strategies actually consist of. It's to some degree, which just like makes it more familiar rather than people just like seeing a number. Like, trust me, bro, it's a black box. They can at least like see some of what goes into that, which I'm sure is helpful.
Yeah.
And you did touch on the Fluent USDNR strategy. I'm sure everybody listening to this probably knows USDNR from Neurona is our native stablecoin, which obviously can be used for different strategies as well. So that's the overlap with Fluent at this point. We don't have all that much time, unfortunately, because I started all this late. But so in the time we do have, I want to make sure to touch on how you're seeing these different target audiences, because I think that's just like a very important thing. Like, you mentioned the institutional side, you mentioned the consumer side. I think in like you and I, just personal like relationship and discourse stuff like that, we've talked a lot about consumer stuff historically, but it sounds like what you're saying today is you're starting to, I don't know, you shed a little bit of light so far on the institutional side. Can you just like contrast both personas in terms of their risk reward appetite and like how they think about the product?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I will give some preface, right? Sprout hasn't found many success in finding a lot of like many different retail users. I think at the peak, we have around like 10K or 20K users join our wait list. But essentially the conversion of those like 10K, 20K users joining our wait list is very limited. Probably essentially we see a 10% or 20% maximum conversion into like people deposit into money. Where we find success during the last, I guess, like 12 months or 5 months is mainly from the B2B2C. What does that mean is like we constantly have, say, major apps or other applications who they are catering to maybe 100Ks of users or even like millions of monthly active users in South Korea, in Southeast Asia. And they say, oh, Maina, I actually want to offer directly the yield that you are offering to your users, but through our app. Can you provide an API to us? Then I start to realize, oh, this might be the way from we go from crypto native users to actually the mass distribution. But of course, when you do like B2B2C integrations, the ask is very different, right? They care about the API stability. They also have their own API endpoints that we need to cater to, because it's not that maybe they are converting some kind of like point system to USDC, or they have their own basically accounting system that we need to adapt to. And then their users, they don't care about instant liquidity. Maybe their users only want to withdraw, 30 days later or 20 days later. And then all we need to do is like we can just forfeit the first like 10 or 20 days if they want to withdraw early, but they want to withdraw every single penny of them. Like you cannot impose, oh, I gotta penalize you if you don't withdraw up to like 30 days. And then the persona, I guess like the most simplified persona is like you have two extremes of the spectrum, right? One side is like you have super risk averse like institutional users, or like users who want to maximize their principal protection, but on the other side they are looking for good opportunities. And the other side is like the crypto degenerate user. They wanted to constantly like 2x, 3x, 5x, right? Constantly putting their earnings back to where the casino is. And then like I always thought there's like a middle ground where like, oh, we will have those like users who are looking for creative like yield opportunities, but not that risk averse, right? Don't only want to put Aave. But unfortunately this year we see Aave also got hacked. But it's not Aave got hacked, it's like the CopDAO thing, right? The underlying asset depacking. You can't really say that's Aave's fault. But no matter whose fault is, like all the DeFi participants or the protocol owners will be some sort of responsible for recovering users' funds. And I know many DeFi protocols, they are still in the process of recovering users' funds. It's a sad situation, but that doesn't mean we couldn't move forward with protocol. So instead, I'm saying, okay, let's let Sprout focus a lot more on the B2B2C side. And we're going to create an API. We're going to create an SDK. We're going to also tell people, hey, we can actually be your perfect like yield engine partner if you promote our product, or if you actually offer this product, either yield services to your end users. And this year, let's see how it goes. And by the way, like constantly through my live stream, right? Like every week I do weekly live stream. And then I also talk about all the opportunity lies in arbitraging or creating yields on top of like tokenized stock. Look at how tokenized stock has been taking off this year, and all the underlying infrastructure has been building up. And I continue, and I'm doubling down on my, I guess, prediction for like 2026. I think this will be a big year for tokenized stock. This will be a big year for tokenized stock yields, like the yields generating on top of like arbitraging the spread between the tokenized stock. But on the other side, I think this will also be a big year for the B2B2C side. And before people even realize what's happening in the market, the market shares are kind of like cut up between different players. And I think what we need to do is like I'm accepting the fact that like I'm not finding much success for promoting Sprout to crypto
like direct
native users.
Consumers, yeah.
But I'm finding success in like B2B2C, and hopefully like maybe this year is not the year for crypto assets, but I believe it will come, right? 2027, 2028. Once we gather like many users from the B2B2C integrations, then we can promote it back maybe to crypto users. I hope that day gonna come. If not, I guess like, let's just like brainstorm and we say, okay, let's build a better casino for crypto native users.
I mean, okay, thank you. That was helpful, I'm sure, for a lot of folks, and there's so many things to dig into. I think the one area with the time remaining, it would be cool is is digging into this B2B2C thing, right? Like it seems like that's where you're getting a lot of near-term traction. Or are you able to share? I guess a couple questions come to mind. Are you able to share what like which partners you're currently working with yet, or
Yes.
if you are, then maybe you could share a little, like help people bite their teeth into like what exactly those experiences look like for their end user, right? So it's just like if you have like partner X and their end user and they're building like this type of product and their end user is, you know, this type of person, like what's most important to I'll say like the partner itself. Like you mentioned integration. I'm sure like maybe how that actually fits into the experience of their offering. I'm sure it sounds like you said like robustness and integration of using your API and SDK. Are there more? Yeah, feel free to just add more color to that if you can share some.
Yeah. For this year, the largest partnerships will all be coming from South Korea. So let's all go to KBW. Yeah. but I think we haven't made the official announcement, but our local partner in South Korea is Sohu.io, and they have been constantly building this like Korea won to USDC or point to USDC. It's essentially like an FX layer where like they do settlements between different currencies or different assets from like that originated in the South Korea region to USDC. And then we are the primary partner to provide the earnings on top of all the USDC. So that could be like an app where, you know, people, they go to casinos and then they load, maybe they are loading USDC, but people exchange it into chips, right? But there will be like idle USDC holdings in the apps for each of the users. Or it could be maybe one of the, not maybe, this is like one of the largest like South Korea financial group. And then we are onboarding them as early as next month. But all of those are like through a collaborated like partnership together with my local partner, Sohu.io. So whoever the B2B partnership they have, right, where they are facilitating the transactions, we are facilitating the yield. And then what they really care is, of course, first, security, right? Because they constantly ask us if we can provide insurance. And what our answer is like, it's really almost impossible to say, okay, I gotta put a comprehensive insurance on all DeFi protocols. It's just not suitable. And we see many protocols try to do that and they fail. Because when large cascading hacks happens, like you don't know. But what you can do, which is what we have been doing at Sprout, is like we are super selective in terms of what to be integrated into our platform, and we are always diversified, no matter how good that strategy is, right? Let's put my personal portfolio aside because I'm okay to experience like different volatilities. But for user, whatever we recommend is like for each protocol, each chain, it's always like allocated across at least like 5 to 10 different protocols, and each is less than 20%. And I think by that, like that actually allows the users to have more chance and higher probability to go through both bull and bear markets. And even some black swan activity happens, even though like Sprout from our side, we say, oh, we are not providing insurance, but we are always using our best efforts to recover user funds. And I believe like so far, all the user funds are principal protected. It's all like every user is made whole, okay, so far, since we are live. Second is like, you can actually seek insurance, which I think this should be a topic that we talk more on both Fluent and Sprout, is people are talking about real world yield, real world assets, but I rarely see people talking about, how you can actually seek traditional finance, which is like those like Web2 financial institutions or credit agency. They can actually provide insurance on your real world assets or real world yields after they audit how your company functions, right? How maybe like that you are using the money to facilitate some payment rails or some like protocols, or even some credit card, but using like stable coins, and out of that you're generating yield. But if like they know you're always working with like reputational players, they audit all the like risk management system in your company, they will be insuring they will be able to put a price for your insurance. And we are working with a couple partners which can insure up to like 90% of the principal. And then we have also seen like some people delay the payment, and then the insurance literally they will pay, because they like it's already gone through so many years from like a traditional finance perspective. It might be still a new concept like in crypto, or like people haven't done insurance backed stuffs in crypto. But I'm telling you, this kind of thing is developing underlying the surface of the market so fast that like when it comes, like there's almost no market share left like for outsiders. So from Sprout side, like one side we're gonna expand very, very aggressively on the B2B2C side in South Korea and Southeast Asia. On the other side is like I am holding the whole team responsible and myself responsible for finding those like more insurance backed yield strategies so that those institutional players can have a safer mind when they work with us.
Got it. No, that's extremely exciting and you did paint a good picture of like how exactly Sprout fits in there, right? You have like these partners and they're facilitating. You mentioned like a casino example. I think you mentioned another example, but there's like idle balance. There's like stable coins that are just like sitting in different points in the system, and you guys can plug in and say like, hey, you can actually offer yield on those, right?
Yeah, and or maybe you're using a payment app, right, where you just go to a restaurant and then instead of like you being a foreigner, you need to, like how much effort it takes you to be a foreigner and open a bank account in South Korea, right? I remember I did that like probably 10 years ago.
I don't know, but I believe you.
I went to I was doing like a summer program with Yonsei University, and then I had to like get my passport and also school's recommendation letter, proof like where I live, like all those things to just open like a bank account in South Korea. I don't know how much easier it is right now, but I believe you as a foreigner, you cannot have an Upbit account or Bitstamp account at all.
Yeah.
Like they are very like limited, or they are conservative in terms of like having foreigners like opening up accounts. So with that being said, there are so much opportunities to actually like be a builder there to facilitate the life of using stable coins in South Korea or Southeast Asia. We are not there to build that. There are already like many builders who have the local distribution channels, but we are tapping into their user flows by serving as a backend engine for their USDC holdings. And I think it's a very strong offering for those users, because typically when they deposit into a bank, you have like 1%, 2%, right? But when you deposit a Sprout, it's at 5 to 25%. And then because we're offering not like the instant liquidity one, but more like the time, and you have like 30 days version, 60 days version. So we actually have more flexibility in terms of like curating an even higher yield for them. Okay, I know we are running out of time, but I'm very excited for this direction. I reflected so much this year, like to just think about, Maina, what did you do wrong for the part of like when you're promoting to crypto native users? And I already accept the fact, okay, I had my understanding wrong about the crypto native users. I understand you guys better. And hopefully like in the near term, we can come up with some functions, or maybe it's not through Sprout, but through other things, which I want you to be the first batch of users. I think it will be a very interesting thing for retail users to use, not just like crypto users.
All right.
This is like a surprise.
Okay, wow. Ends with the little tease. Okay, we love that. We are up on time, but Mina, always a pleasure. I think everyone who's listening probably sees why one of the many reasons we're so bullish on you and Sprout. I mean, Mina is just like ruthlessly truth seeking and authentic, and I think that that will pay dividends as you guys keep building and like refine your strategies. So I'm pumped to hear about the partnerships, and now I feel like the audience and myself have like a better grasp, even though you haven't announced them formally, like a better grasp on like where exactly Sprout fits into that value chain, and that's very not only differentiated like from what we've seen in the market, and exciting. So congrats to the traction, and I'm sure we can have you jump back on here within maybe the next few weeks or a month. Maybe do this on like a monthly, bi-monthly thing and just kind of see how everything's progressing. But it's a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Dino. And I'm very excited. I have been and have always been very excited about Fluent's launch. And I think like we have a long way to go. And because like UME, like since the beginning of our partnership, we always say, oh, how we want to do things differently. And continuously, I see both Sprout and Fluent are doing things differently from majority of the protocols that's available on the market, right? And then I do believe by doing things very differently and by having such high conviction, we are already seeing the tunnel, like the light after the tunnel. Oh, we are inside the tunnel right now, very, very close. So very excited for our continuous partnership. And we'll always be happy and excited to jumping back to discuss like what has been going on at Sprout. And I want to know more about like the overall like Fluent's expectations or the plan for 2026 and 2027 to see how we can contribute to that part.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a ton there that like a lot of what you said even sparked some ideas that align with our thesis and strategy for the next year. So I'm sure we can talk plenty about that. Well, cool. All right. Thanks again. Thanks, Pow Pow, for joining us.
Bye.
He's cute. Okay, and until next time.
Bye.
Thank you guys. See ya.
See ya.